أنتقل الآن إلى السيد ثياقو هيريك من الشبكة العالمية للمدن المراعية للسن. أهلا ومرحبا بك. يعني بداية ما هي هذه الشبكة؟ قد يتساءل البعض عن الشبكة ودورها، ومن ثم ننطلق إلى ورقة العمل التي حضرتها أستاذ ثياقو.
Sure. So you asked me, just to confirm, you asked me what's the service, how this relates to what's being done in the global network.
Yes.
Great. So first of all, I would like to start by thanking Sharjah for allowing us to be today in this big madrasa, this big school, where we can all learn from one another, including from the ones that are not here, such as the colleagues from Sweden. So that's a very interesting example of a system that allows healthcare providers to cater for all the people that are more fragile and therefore in need of a closer care. Some older people feel safer and more comfortable if they're being looked after. Some of them do not necessarily have the family around. So this is one example on how you could improve the system for them. Of course, as part of the global network, we take those examples and we look at our own context and we see, would that work for me? What is the adaptation that we need to do? And then in that way, we learn from one another.
جميل. ماذا عن ما تقدمه الشبكة من خدمات ومن أيضا شروط ومعايير للانضمام إلى قائمة المدن المراعية للسن، وهل هناك جديد ومستجدات طرأت على عمل الشبكة العالمية للمدن المراعية لكبار السن؟
That's actually a very good question. So, and you'll see that in my presentation. Very briefly.
I think you can start it just after the question direct. The presentation.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So maybe in a nutshell, we have at least, and you'll see that in my presentation, at least 8 domains of action. 8 areas where we should intervene to create age-friendly environments. Healthcare is one of them.
Yes.
There are many more, and as Dr. Ahmed has already mentioned, the importance is that this is not just about social, it's not just about health, it's not just about transport or housing, it's about everything and all of these sectors working together.
So let's start the presentation, please. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll keep this with me. So perhaps I can just use this one instead of the pulpit, if that's okay. Good? Yes. Perfect. So colleagues, I've been already introduced. My name is Thiago Heyrick. I am the responsible officer at the World Health Organization headquarters for age-friendly environments. And that includes the management of the global network for age-friendly cities and communities. It's again a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you today to learn and exchange. Do we have a pointer? Next slide. Okay, next slide, please. So I would like to start by the basics, which oftentimes get forgotten. We, as human beings, are living longer. And that's a great achievement for us to celebrate. Across all continents, we are succeeding to live more. This is great. This is an amazing news. Next slide, please. But while we are living longer, it is also true that we are not necessarily living better, healthier lives. What you see on these 2 lines above are life expectancy for men and women. You see that we are progressing. The 2 lines below are the healthy life expectancy. And there's a gap. And that means that we have some years there that are not being lived with health. And I think that this is important because if we succeed to implement the policies, we would hope that these two lines for both men and women would overlap. Just so that every single year lived is a healthy year. Now, in that, it's important to acknowledge that people are diverse. Some older people want to go back to school. Some older people want to continue working. Some older people want to spend more time with family. Some older people want to travel. People are diverse within and across countries. But also the environments they live in are diverse. Rural environments, urban environments, you have deserts, mountains, you have small towns, and it's important to account for that because, next slide please, the environments, they're very important for us to deliver on healthy aging. And by environments here, I mean a very simple way to think about environments is anything that is outside your body. So it's not just the built environment, it's also the social environment, the people around you, the beliefs, the attitudes, the systems that you have in place. Everything that is outside your body is your environment. And intervening on those environments can help us live longer, healthier lives. Next slide, please. So what is an age-friendly environment then? What is this environment that Sharjah is working to create here? The colleagues from Sweden are working to create there, and so many more that you're here in today's meeting. Well, it's an environment that enables us to age well, to continue developing personally, to be included. We all want to be part of our communities, to contribute. We don't just want to be part of, but we also want to contribute to our communities, to enjoy independence and good health. Next slide, please. And I think here it's important to highlight that creating age-friendly environments, it's not just good for older people, it's good for everyone. It's good for children, it's good for persons living with disabilities, it's good for people living with adults, it's good for everyone. So we should invest in that. Next slide, please. And it's also important from a member state perspective, from a country perspective, because age-friendly environments is one of the action areas of the UN Decade of Healthy Aging, and it's very much aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. So creating age-friendly environments is also contributing from a country perspective to deliver on those global agendas. Next slide, please. Now, I've mentioned before, how can we then create those environments? Well, creating age-friendly citizen communities is a proven way to do that. And we have to intervene in at least 8 domains. And it's not WHO that came, no, we sat there and we decided, no, we consulted with older people from all across the globe. And they told us that those would be the domains. Housing, social participation, respect and social inclusion, civic participation and employment, communication and information, community support and health services, outdoor spaces and buildings, transportation and housing. Next slide, please. And there's also a very well-established cycle on how to do it. And that starts by listening to the voice of older people. What are their needs and aspirations? From there, you plan, you act, and you evaluate. Next slide, please. So the combination between where to intervene and how to intervene leads us to the age-friendly practices, which are the very concrete measures that we have to put in place. Next slide, please. And every single orange dot in this map, which is the map of the global network for age-friendly citizen communities, is actually doing that. they're trying to create these age-friendly practices. Now, next slide, please. I just brought 2 examples, in addition to the ones that you hear today, from cities that actually joined the network on the very first year of its creation. Melville in Australia and Porto in Portugal. And as you can see here, the number of practices that they have led on housing, on exercises, on healthcare. So there's a lot that these cities and communities are doing, same as for many of the ones that you see today. Next slide, please. And we are actually compiling these practices because we want cities and communities and affiliate programs from around the world to be able to find those innovative solutions. Our WHO Global Database for Age-Friendly Practices now have over 700 practices, and it's growing rapidly. Just so that if you're interested to do something similar to Sweden, or to Sharjah, or to Hong Kong, or to a US city, you have where to find those examples. Next slide, please. Of course, it's not just cities and communities that are implementing those practices. I've mentioned before, the Global Network also has affiliate programs, which are usually national or subnational programs supporting cities and communities to do the work. And I have the pleasure to have here today with us our colleague Minasan from Kanagawa, which is our affiliate program from Japan, from one of the prefectures in Japan. And I'm also very pleased to let you know that the Emirate of Sharjah is already taking steps to become the first affiliate program in the region as well. Next slide, please. Well, I mentioned the process of affiliating Sharjah, and actually Sharjah is not waiting. Now, we had earlier this year a very interesting event where we gathered together many cities and communities from the Arab countries to share and learn and exchange, connect them with one another, supporting them in their journey. And this is precisely the ethos of this global community, of this global network, is to inspire, to connect, and to provide the technical support, just so that every single country, every single city, every single community, and every single older person can thrive. Next slide, please. So that's that from my side. I would just like to end by saying that if we can work together in this global school, in this global madrasa, we'll be much closer to actually creating an age-friendly world for everyone. Thank you very much.